It was a Tuesday morning in my corner office on the 42nd floor of a sleek Chicago high-rise. Sunlight slanted through floor-to-ceiling windows, catching the edge of my desk where quarterly reports lay spread out like a battlefield map. My phone buzzed once, then again. The first message read, "Alex, we need to talk about the wedding." I knew what was coming before I even opened the second text. My younger sister Isabella had been hinting for weeks, subtle jabs about elegance, perfect flow, and avoiding any awkwardness with Marcus's family. Marcus Langford came from old money, corporate lawyers, surgeons, even a cousin in state politics. The next message hit harder. Marcus and I talked. His family is important. Executives, attorneys, doctors. We can't have you there looking like you just rolled out of whatever tech job you have. It would embarrass us. You understand, right? I stared at the screen, the words burning. My assistant tapped lightly on the glass door, holding the latest Forbes issue with my face on the cover, final proof before print. I waved her off gently. Another text. Dad agrees. It's probably for the best. I typed back one word. Understood. Then I flipped the phone face down and returned to the acquisition papers that would seal our $350 million deal by Friday. Growing up in suburban Chicago, Isabella was the golden child. Straight A's came effortlessly. She captained the debate team, wore the homecoming crown, and had that effortless charm that made teachers beam and kids orbit around her. Our parents paraded her like a trophy at every backyard barbecue and holiday dinner. I was the odd one out, the girl who disappeared into her room with computers, asking endless questions about how systems worked instead of accepting them. Why can't you be more like your sister? Mom would ask at least once a week through high school. Isabella knows how to present herself. She understands what matters. What mattered, apparently, was appearances, status, saying the right things to the right people. I never mastered that game and eventually stopped trying. I attended the University of Illinois on a partial scholarship while Isabella got a full ride to Northwestern, the school Dad loved bragging about at his golf club. I studied computer science, coding apps and websites for local businesses to cover tuition. Isabella studied communications and spent nights at sorority events. After graduation, I started as a junior developer at a mid-size firm in the Loop. Pay was modest, hours brutal, but I was learning fast. Isabella moved back home, working part-time at a boutique while figuring things out. Yet she remained the star. Dad bragged about her refined taste and how she was taking her time finding the right opportunity. When I mentioned my promotion to senior developer, Dad nodded vaguely and pivoted to Isabella's new boyfriend, Marcus. From that well-connected family. What my family never knew, what I deliberately kept hidden, was that 2 years ago I'd left that job to launch my own company. It began small, Nexus Dynamics, an AI-powered platform optimizing supply chains. Nights and weekends turned into one client, then 5. 20. Venture capitalists saw the vision. Traditional logistics was broken. Technology could fix it. We raised $8 million in Series A, then $35 million in B. Acquisitions followed. I kept my world separated. Family thought I was still grinding at some generic tech firm. I drove a modest sedan to dinners, wore off-the-rack clothes, rented a comfortable but unflashy apartment in Lincoln Park. Meanwhile, Nexus was profiled in industry journals. I spoke at conferences. Our latest valuation hit $350 million. I owned 58%. I wasn't hiding from shame. I was protecting something pure, building without the poison of people who'd spent years telling me I wasn't enough. Every dismissive glance, every comparison to Isabella, every forgotten question about my life became fuel. Our headquarters sat just 10 miles from my parents' house in the suburbs, but they'd never visited, never asked for the address. Never wondered why I was always busy. My executive team was small but fierce, people who'd been underestimated and had something to prove. CFO Elena Vargas had been pushed out of her family's accounting firm for choosing tech finance. Head of operations Liam Chin had been told he was too quiet for leadership. VP of sales Jordan Hale had been overlooked for promotions dozens of times. We were the overlooked ones. And we were winning. The wedding was Saturday, 6 days after Isabella's texts. I didn't reply further. She didn't follow up. As far as they knew, I'd accepted exclusion quietly, the way I always had. Friday afternoon, Jordan knocked on my door with his usual grin. "Boss, ready for tomorrow?" "Ready as I'll ever be," I replied. Jordan had connected us with Marcus's company 6 months earlier, though he hadn't known the family tie at first. Marcus worked at Apex Freight Solutions, a mid-sized logistics firm we targeted for acquisition. Their client list shone, but their tech was decades old, and they were losing ground fast. Months of quiet talks followed. Marcus, as VP of Operations, resisted every modernization, insisting old systems were proven. But numbers didn't lie. 3 weeks ago, they accepted our offer. The deal closed Monday. Marcus had no idea the CEO acquiring his firm was his future sister-in-law, the one deemed unworthy of his wedding. Jordan had pieced it together days earlier upon seeing an old family photo on my desk. "That's Marcus's fiancée," he'd said, stunned. "Yes," I answered simply. "And you're not invited?"
No.
Jordan's face shifted from surprise to protective anger. "Boss, you're worth 10 of that entire family. Marcus fought us every step. Now he'll learn who's really in charge." I smiled faintly. "He'll learn at the right time, tomorrow night." Jordan understood timing perfectly. That's why he was my right hand. Saturday dawned clear and bright. I spent the morning finalizing patents, then returned to my penthouse in the Gold Coast, a place my family had never seen. Around 3 o'clock, I began getting ready. My phone buzzed with family group chat messages I'd somehow stayed in. Photos flooded in, Isabella radiant in her gown, Dad beaming in his tux, Mom teary-eyed. The venue looked perfect, white roses, gold accents. Mom texted, "Marcus's family is so impressive. 3 doctors, 2 attorneys, his uncle's a state senator. We're so lucky." I set the phone aside and focused. The dress I'd chosen was elegant yet understated, deep emerald green, perfectly tailored, expensive but not flashy. Hair styled simply, minimal jewelry. I looked successful without ostentation, confident, composed. At 6, my driver arrived, not the everyday sedan, but my black Mercedes. We headed to the Grand Lakes estate, the venue Isabella had bragged about for months. I timed arrival for after the ceremony, but during cocktail hour. The cocktail hour buzzed when I entered. I checked in with the coordinator, who led me to table 3 near the front, reserved for company executives. No one recognized me amid the sea of designer gowns and tailored suits. I spotted my family across the room. Dad holding court with Marcus's senator uncle, Mom laughing with Marcus's mother, Isabella glowing beside her groom. My younger brother Ethan, 19 and already mimicking Dad's posture, chatted with groomsmen. I took a glass of champagne and found my seat. Jordan appeared first, impeccable in his tux, as Marcus's colleague and our acquisition insider. He'd been invited. "They have no idea," he whispered. "Not yet," I murmured. Liam arrived next, striking in navy, invited as Marcus's supposed operations consultant. Elena came third. Marcus had worked with her on financials without realizing she reported to me. We sat together, sipping champagne, chatting lightly with Marcus's unaware colleagues. Across the room, Isabella laughed at something Dad said. looking genuinely happy. A small part of me ached for what was coming. But then I remembered the text, "You'd embarrass us." I recalled every time Dad forgot details about my job. Mom sighs over my casual clothes. Isabella's eye rolls when I mention code. I wasn't seeking revenge. I was here because, after years of invisibility, they were about to realize I'd been present all along. Dinner arrived. Prime rib, roasted vegetables, truffle potatoes. I barely ate. Attention fixed on the head table where Isabella scanned the room with satisfaction. This was her perfect day. Marcus sat proudly. The same confidence he'd shown fighting our proposals, patronizing Liam's expertise, questioning Elena's projections, clinging to outdated systems.
Coffee came.
The DJ called for toasts. Ethan spoke first, rambling sweetly about growing up with Isabella and her finding Marcus. Dad followed, voice thick. My daughter deserves the best. Marcus, you come from a family that represents success, education, class. Mom cried through words about Isabella's grace and bright future. Then, and now the best man, Jordan Hale. My pulse quickened. Jordan rose, champagne glass in hand, comfortable before crowds from years of investor pitches. Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Jordan Hale. I've had the privilege of working closely with Marcus these past 6 months during a major transition at his company. Marcus smiled, expecting praise. Jordan continued warmly. We spent long hours on strategy, operations, the future of logistics. I got to know him well. Isabella beamed. Dad nodded approvingly. But what Marcus doesn't know, Jordan said, tone shifting subtly, is that the entire time I was reporting to someone else, someone evaluating whether he had the vision and adaptability needed. The room quieted. Marcus's smile faltered. 6 months ago, Marcus's company, Apex Freight Solutions, entered acquisition talks with Nexus Dynamics. Some of you may have heard of them. They've been making waves. A few nods. Marcus's uncle pulled out his phone. Jordan pressed on. Nexus is revolutionizing an outdated industry. And I have the privilege of working for the most brilliant, strategic leader I've ever known. One who built everything from scratch, saw opportunities others missed, treats people like humans, not resources. Profiled in Forbes, Business Insider. Just closed a $350 million funding round. Whispers spread. My boss is your new sister-in-law, Jordan said, turning toward Isabella. She's your sister. Everyone, please welcome the CEO of Nexus Dynamics, Alexandra Harper. Chaos erupted. Isabella's face cycled from confusion to horror. Her glass slipped, shattering. Dad shot up, chair toppling. Mom clutched her mouth. Marcus paled, realizing his firm was now under me, the embarrassing sister-in-law. Colleagues at our table stared in shock. Liam waved lightly. Elena smirked into her drink. Jordan continued above the noise. Alex doesn't usually attend acquisitions personally. But this one was personal. Marcus, you fought every upgrade, every efficiency gain. You told Liam he didn't grasp real logistics. Questioned Elena's projections despite her Goldman Sachs background. Insisted outdated systems were superior. Marcus went ashen. Monday morning, you'll report to Liam in the new structure. Elena will restructure finance, and Alex will decide if your role remains. He raised his glass. To the bride and groom, may your marriage succeed more than Marcus's resistance to progress. Half the room gasped or chuckled awkwardly. Marcus's colleagues stared at plates. His family Googled, frantically. Faces draining. I stood slowly, smoothing my dress. Every eye turned. I walked to the microphone. Jordan handed it over with a faint smile and returned to his seat. Thank you. Jordan, I said calmly, voice steady like in boardrooms. I apologize for the disruption. This isn't how I pictured attending my sister's wedding. Actually, I wasn't pictured attending at all because 6 days ago, Isabella texted that I'd embarrass her, that Marcus's family was too important to risk my presence. I looked at Isabella, now crying, mascara streaking. Dad agreed it was for the best. Dad's face flushed. You've spent my life telling me I wasn't enough, that I should be like Isabella, that computers were a waste. I stopped proving myself to you and built something real instead. I turned to Marcus. You and I met 6 months in negotiations. You fought every suggestion, condescended to my team, resisted innovation because admitting change meant admitting you were wrong. His jaw tightened. Monday, Apex becomes a Nexus subsidiary. Your team restructures. Systems modernize. Adapt or be replaced. I softened slightly. But tonight is Isabella's day. Despite everything, she's my sister. I raise my glass. To Isabella, may your marriage bring happiness with someone who values you for who you are, not appearances or family status. May you never feel invisible. I sipped. And may you never build greatness while being called an embarrassment. I set the glass down. Elena, Liam, Jordan, we have an early meeting Monday. My team rose. We walked out in silence, leaving stunned quiet behind. At the door, Dad called. Alex. Wait. I paused but didn't turn. You never told us. You never asked, I replied. In years. You never asked what I did. You assumed entry level because it fit what you wanted to believe. Mom's voice broke. We're your family. I turned fully. Dad looked older in his rented tux. Mom elegant yet fragile in lavender. Isabella ruined in her gown. Ethan confused to the side. Family doesn't call you an embarrassment, I said quietly. Doesn't exclude you because you don't match their image. Doesn't make you invisible then act shocked when you appear on your own terms. Alex. Please, Isabella started. I'm not angry, I interrupted. I'm grateful. You taught me approval from those who don't value you is worthless. That I'm capable beyond your imagination. That real validation comes from the work. To Marcus, see you Monday. Business casual. We don't stand on formality. We exited to the waiting Mercedes. My team climbed in. Silence held for minutes. Liam spoke first. Boss. That was the most professionally devastating thing I've ever seen. Marcus will resign, Elena predicted. He'll show, I said. Ego won't let him quit. He'll try proving himself. Can he? Jordan asked. No, I replied, but I'll give 3 months to realize it. If he adapts, fine. If not, generous severance. I'm not cruel. You're fair, Liam corrected. Big difference. We reached my favorite quiet Italian spot in the Arts District, low-key. No status games. Wine and pasta flowed as we discussed Monday's Portland acquisition expanding coverage. Around 11. Phones buzzed, Jordan's. Then Liam's. Elena's. It's everywhere, Jordan said, scrolling. Someone recorded the toast. Trending locally. Tech CEO crashes sister's wedding. Turns out she's buying Groom's firm. Not accurate, I noted. I had an assigned seat. Elena laughed hard. My phone showed dozens of missed calls. Texts. Voicemails. Family chat was pandemonium. Mom pleading to call. Dad demanding answers. Ethan asking if I was really rich. Relatives shocked. Isabella's final message. Marcus won't talk. Locked in bathroom. His family left. Everyone staring. You ruined everything. I stared long. Liam noticed. You okay? Yeah, I said, setting it down. I'm okay. Sunday morning brought more messages and a viral video. 2.3 million views. Comments mixed. Satisfying justice. Sympathy for the bride.
Questions about family treatment.
Forbes. Business Insider. TechCrunch emailed for comment. My publicist panicked in inbox. I ignored and went running.
Returning.
Dad's BMW waited outside my building. He sat in the lobby in yesterday's clothes. Sleepless. The concierge apologized but couldn't bar the public area. Alex, he stood. We need to talk. I gestured to window seats. He looked defeated. I don't understand why you never told us about the company. The money. Would you have believed me? I asked. He hesitated. 3 years ago. If I'd said I was starting a company, what would you say? He paused long. I'd have said it was risky. Keep the stable job. You'd have called me unrealistic, I finished. Told me to be practical like Isabella. He trailed off at her name. Isabella's devastated. Weddings viral. Marcus questioning everything. His family thinks we're crazy. She blames you. She shouldn't, Dad said softly, the closest to apology I'd heard. We made this by how we treated you. I've spent my adult life chasing your approval, I said. I realized I'd never get it, not because I lacked success, but because you'd fix my image at 16, the weird computer girl who didn't fit. Nothing would change that. That's not. You forgot my birthday 3 years running.
Never asked about my job.
Compared me to Isabella constantly. When I got promoted, you shifted to her boyfriend in 30 seconds. His face crumpled. I didn't realize. That's the problem, I said. None of you did. I was invisible until inconvenient. Alex.
I'm sorry.
Your mother is sorry. We were wrong. I know, I replied. But sorry doesn't erase years of dismissal. Doesn't fix telling a child she's not enough. Doesn't recover the life you missed focusing on Isabella. What can we do? He asked desperately. I don't know if you can, I said honestly. I'm not angry anymore. Just tired of wanting approval from those who never saw me. Of trying to belong where I clearly didn't. You do belong, he insisted. You're our daughter. Isabella's sister. I'm CEO of a $350 million company. I cut in. With 350 employees depending on me. Investors trusting me. A team believing in our mission. That's who I am now, not the disappointing daughter. Dad's hands shook. I'm proud of you. I should have said it yesterday, years ago, but I am now. Thank you, I said, but I don't need it anymore. I built without your pride. And I'm okay. I stood. Work calls. Finalizing the Apex acquisition tomorrow. Marcus will show or not. Business continues. Alex.
Wait.
Tell Mom I'll call when ready. Tell Isabella I'm sorry her day was ruined, but not for existing. Tell Ethan to call if he wants to discuss college or careers. I'll always make time. As I walked to the elevator, Dad said quietly behind me, I love you. I press my floor. I know. I love you too. But love isn't enough without respect. Doors closed. Monday morning. I wore my favorite navy suit, hair in a professional bun, drove my Tesla Model S, bought celebrating Series C, to the office. Buzz filled the halls. Everyone had seen the video. My assistant handled 60-plus media requests. Security turned away reporters. Liam knocked at 8:30. He's here. Marcus. Lobby. Looks like facing execution. Send him up, I said. Conference room B in 15 with Jordan and Elena. Marcus entered my office exhausted. Suit wrinkled. Tie askew. Eyes red. Miss Harper, he said formally. Marcus.
Sit. He did.
How was the rest of your wedding? I asked genuinely. He blinked. The photographer left early. Half the guests too. My parents left. Isabella cried for hours. We went to the suite.
Didn't speak.
Skipped honeymoon. So no. I didn't enjoy it. I'm sorry to hear that, I said.
Meaning it.
Are you? He asked bitterly. You got what you wanted. Embarrassed us. Showed success. Made me look like an idiot. That wasn't the goal, I replied evenly. The goal was attending my sister's wedding. Being present for her milestone. You and Isabella decided I wasn't worthy. Jordan's toast was truthful.
You could have told me, he said.
In any meeting. Mention the relation. Would it have changed anything? I asked. Would you have heeded Liam's recommendations knowing he reported to me? Been less condescending if you knew my net worth? He stayed silent. So what now? He asked. You fire me. Make an example. That depends on you. You have skills, logistics knowledge, client relationships we need. But you're resistant to change. Dismissive of unfamiliar expertise. More worried about being right than effective. I slid a folder. Performance improvement plan. Work directly with Liam 3 months. Implement upgrades you resisted. Learn our platforms.
Culture. Adapt.
Become senior director, not VP, which is eliminated with good pay and benefits. Fail to adapt. We part ways. 6 months severance. Strong references. Decide in 5 minutes. He read.
Surprised.
This is fair.
I'm always fair, I said.
Difference between me and fear-based or favoritism leadership. Isabella says you destroyed her wedding for revenge. Isabella texted I'd embarrass her. That my presence wasn't worthy. I said evenly. I showed up because she's my sister, and that matters to me even if not to her. What followed was consequence of years treating me as less. That's reality. Not revenge. Marcus was quiet long. I'll stay. I'll do the work. Adapt.
Good.
Liam expects you in 8 minutes. Don't be late. He stood, folder in hand, heading to door. Marcus, I called. He turned. Take care of my sister. Whatever happened,
she's family.
I want her happy despite everything. His expression softened. I'll try. That's all anyone can. He left. I sat staring at the Forbes on my credenza, my CEO of the Year cover. Phone buzzed, Ethan texting about computer science major and wanting to talk. I smiled, replying we'd do dinner this week. My treat. Isabella, I don't know what to say. I thought. Then, you don't have to. Hope you and Marcus figure it out. I really do. Mom, Sunday dinner next week? I hesitated. Then, I'll let you know. Not full forgiveness, but possibility. Enough for now. 3 months later, I reviewed Liam's report on Marcus's progress in my office. He'd adapted, not perfectly. Ego flared occasionally. Resistance lingered. But he tried genuinely. Apex integration completed. Revenue up 23%. Client retention 94%. 5 former Apex staff transferred successfully, including Marcus's old assistant thriving in operations. Phone rang. We'd had 2 family dinners, awkward but trying. Ethan joined both. Easing tension. He'd declared computer science major. Dad seemed proud rather than disappointed for once. Hi, Mom, I answered. Alex. Honey. How are you?
Busy. Good busy.
I was wondering. Isabella and Marcus are hosting a small family dinner Saturday. Just us. Would you come? I gazed out at Chicago's skyline, my city, conquered quietly while family looked away. Will I embarrass her? Long pause. She'd like you there. She asked me to call. Did she? She's trying. Alex. We're all trying. I thought of the original text. Years of invisibility. Jordan's toast making me visible unasked. The fact Isabella remained my sister. I'll come, I said. But I'm not pretending the past didn't happen. No one's asking you to, Mom said softly. We just want to move forward. Okay, I replied. I'll be there. I hung up and returned to the report. Work always waited. But maybe there was space for family too. On my own terms this time. The lingering question stayed with me. How much of our identity is shaped by those who underestimate us? And what happens when we finally step fully into the light they tried to dim? In the end, building something real despite the doubt proved the only validation that ever truly mattered.